All right, I'm a little sleep deprived. I was in this room till 1 in the morning, hanging out with medical students. It was awesome after the film last night. So, yeah, I went into medicine, probably like a lot of you, thinking that I was going to go in and just one-on-one sort of help individual patients. I had really no idea that what I was going to end up doing is helping the entire medical system heal. And I think I'd like to open your minds to the idea of sort of what the gentleman was presenting to you of like healthcare plus or, physician plus. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but, I want you to look at this globally. You can do so much more than helping the one individual in front of you. You can actually heal entire groups of people at once. You can heal entire healthcare systems and even into the international realm. And the way that you do that is by using your voice and your power and your ability to heal, which is a God-given ability that you were born with. If you are in this room, you are a healer. You might not be like the type of specialty that you think you're going for. You might be some other type of healer. I want you to keep an open mind, like our Carmen explained to you earlier, is that, in the early stages of feeling called to be a healer, sometimes it's confusing to know which direction to go. You can go in so many directions right now. I want you to keep an open mind, because I had no idea I was going to end up being like a physician suicide expert and running a suicide hotline for doctors, but this comes to you when you're in a state of receptive silence. And so I think I want you to spend some time with yourself every week just listening to what it is that you feel called to do, that the world is calling you for. And I want to share with you the two most important moments of my life, and I want you to be on the lookout for when some of these most important moments of your life might happen. One of them might happen today, okay? So besides being born, which was actually, an important part of my life, the most important parts of my life, the two moments that changed me the most, were October 28th, 2012 at 3 p.m. and January 26th, 2018 at 6 p.m. And I'm going to tell you what happened. On October 28, 2012, I was sitting in the second row of a memorial service for the third physician that we lost to suicide in my small, beautiful town where there's a farmer's market on every corner and everyone's smiling and hugging you. So I live in a beautiful place. Why would there be 3 physician suicides in a small town in Oregon within a year and a half? Well, everyone kept asking why, but nobody said suicide out loud at the funeral, which I thought was very odd, because how are we going to discover the solution to a problem that nobody will say out loud? I started sitting there focusing on, why? Why is this happening? I'm one of those people that I get obsessed on the question why, and I can't let it go, which I think is the sign of a really good scientist who's interested in solving any kind of a problem. You get stuck on why, you can't sleep. And I started counting on my hands how many physicians I knew that had died by suicide or very suspicious circumstances at a very young age. Within a few minutes, I had counted 10. 10, right? And I'm a young physician just starting. I left this memorial service early because I was teaching a physician retreat that evening, which is a business course I teach for medical students and physicians who want to launch independent practices. This retreat had nothing to do with mental health. I opened the retreat with, how many of you have lost a colleague to suicide? And everyone's hand was raised. Every single hand in the room. And then I asked, well, how many of you have considered suicide yourself? And every single hand was up except for one female nurse practitioner. I'm a scientist. I don't need any more proof than that. This is a problem. I've spent the entire waking moments of my life, every moment since October 28th, 2012 at 3 p.m., completely dedicated to this topic. Okay? I started blogging. I started speaking. I could hardly stop speaking about this. My entire house is like a shrine with pictures of dead doctors everywhere. I mean, this is like my life's purpose, I guess. I started running people started contacting me, families who lost children to suicide in medical school. I started running a hotline, a hotline for physicians who are suicidal and medical students who are suicidal. They keep calling me. I call them back, and we're on the phone for hours, at no charge. I just started doing this. So this is what's going on for me for the last 5 years. And then, I think it just accelerated because I'm open to solving a problem that is not my problem to really solve. It was just the universe is asking me to participate in this. I'm listening, so I continue doing the work. Now, it accelerated to the point where on January 18th of this year, you may remember, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Mount Sinai, they lost the third physician to suicide in just like less than 2 years. 3 women stepped off the roofs of buildings at Mount Sinai. And the last one was named Dilshad Juman, and she died on the 18th. Soon after she died, I got 3 emails. One from an administrator at Mount Sinai, one from a resident who lived in the building where she died, stepping off the 33rd floor, the roof of the building, and another from a wife of a resident. They all demanded that I come to New York and do something, investigate the hospitals, help us, we're stuck in this building. So like, I just got on a plane and flew to New York to lead a woman's eulogy, a vigil, and her memorial service. I don't even know this doctor. And I will tell you, because I led a retreat for medical students recently, and at the retreat, a medical student asked me, what was the proudest moment of your life? The proudest moment of my life is showing up and leading a memorial service for a woman who would otherwise be forgotten, who stepped off a roof in New York City, and that is really the proudest moment of my life, that I stepped forward to honor a beautiful physician colleague of mine who died in desperation and hopelessness. And so what I want, the message that I have for you today is follow my lead. When it comes to saving lives and honoring and helping your brothers and sisters in medicine, just act, don't ask. Don't ask permission. Don't ask, do I have permission to go to New York and help lead a woman's memorial service? Just do it. When someone is suffering in your class, don't ask, like, should I run a suicide hotline or should I help? Like, just do it, because you're already a healer. You don't have to wait till you get your diploma. You could actually heal people today that are suffering all around you. And there are people in this very room who are suffering right now, and you could look around and help them. And so I have, because the predominant question last night after the film was, what can we do now as pre-med and medical students? So I have 5 things I want to suggest that you consider doing now. One is, you can start what's called a warm line. I didn't know, but there's, hotline is like kind of more urgent. People are on the edge asking you, for help when they've got a gun to their head sort of thing. That's a little intense. But you could run like a warm line, which is basically, it's like you can put your number out there and let people know, hey, if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here for you. I would suggest that you all reach out to at least 5 or 10 people in your class, maybe some people who are isolating themselves and don't seem to have a lot of friends or are not very extroverted, and just give them your phone number and say, hey, do you want to go out to tea? Do you want to hang out? I want you to know that I'm here for you, and you can call me anytime. It's not that hard to do this, and you could do this for your entire class. You could do it for 4 or 5 people. I'm doing it for the whole world, and it's actually really fun and healing, and I would suggest that you do that. The other thing is, like Robin said, I want you to stop abuse. As a healer, it is your job to stop human rights violations wherever you see it. And this is happening inside of medical education. There are human rights violations, sleep deprivation, sexual harassment, hazing. If you see any of that, it is your job to stop it as a healer. And so how do you do this without getting thrown under the bus yourself? I'm going to give you 2 examples. One, a pediatrician who's in his 60s was on the phone with me recently, and he told me that in his training there was a professor that every year would torment the students, would pick on people in the room who weren't doing anything wrong, and he was just, he was an abusive man. And so they decided as a class of students, because they had a president of the class and the class met, they decided that the next time he did that, they would do this particular thing, and this is what they did. He started provoking somebody who did not do anything wrong in the back of the room. The president of the class stood up and said, "We know nobody in the back of the room is being disruptive, and we are going to walk out of your class." And they all stood up, all 160 of them, and they walked right out of his class together. And they went straight to the dean's office, and they let the dean know, this is what's happening. That professor was fired, and they never saw him again. And that is how you handle bullying as a group. Okay, very effective. He couldn't believe that people aren't doing this now. It was like... Then the other thing, the reason why abuse can continue is that they're using the traditional divide and conquer technique, which is when they divide and conquer everyone and you're isolated, you have no power, or not as much power as if you're in a large group. So that's why it's so important for you all to stand up for each other. And so when there's pimping, and what that is somebody is standing there and they're looking, as the professor, for the weakest chain link, the person who's the most sensitive guy, who's most likely to cry, the woman who's, you know what I mean? And they pick on you until you start crying, and then everyone else like hovers away because they don't want to be the next one picked on. And they're usually asking like very random, weird questions that are not even irrelevant to anything. And so what you do if you're witnessing pimping is that you say, "Hey, I don't think I know the answer to that question either, do you?" And then everyone goes around and says, "I don't know the answer to that question," so that it doesn't give this person a chance to pick on one person as not having the answer. And then you say, "Well, maybe we'll all go look it up together." You know, you need to band together and not let anyone be separated and abused. The other thing is just in general, unite, befriend one another. I know of people in medical school who've died by suicide, and the cause was loneliness. They died of loneliness that led to suicide. You should not let anyone in your class die of loneliness, please. You don't want anyone in your class, their parents, to get a phone call at 3 in the morning that their child died of loneliness. That is something that you can do something about. And then just 2 more quick little things. What I did in medical school, they had us back in the day killing dogs as part of the physiology curriculum, which I couldn't believe. Now, I didn't ask about, I don't want to do this. I basically wrote a letter to the physiology professor. I said, I will not murder a dog as part of my career. I will not do that. Well, he wrote me back and he said, yes, you will. You're already on Team 11B, and if you don't show up, and he tried to like strong arm me into it. And he also told me these are not experiments, they're experiences for which there is no alternative. Yeah, dehumanizing experiences are not something that should be happening in medical school curriculum. So anyway, I petitioned the dean. I started a petition out of the blue, collected a bunch of signatures, went to the dean, and basically said, I'm either going to drop out of medical school, or you're going to let me out of, I'm not going to kill a dog. And you know what he did? He diagnosed me with Bambi syndrome and let me out of it. So the point is, these are just all examples of acting and not asking. I did not ask, really, for the dean's permission. I told him, I will not do this dog lab, and he relented. The final thing that I'd like to say is I would like all of you, if you don't currently have one at your school, to have a mental health week. It's really fun. The students at Louisiana State University in Shreveport just had me there, and you know what? They didn't ask their school, could we have a mental health week? They told them, we're going to have a mental health week, and Dr. Wible already agreed to come. So I would like to invite you all to let your school know that you're hosting a mental health week. Again, you can invite them to participate, but let them know you're going to do that with or without their permission, because it's very important that we help each other heal. And I know Robin Simon will love for you to screen her film there at your school. And I will tell you right now that I promise I will come to your school and help you lead your mental health week. So please write my name down, idealmedicalcare.org. You contact me. I will come to your school. We will bring the film. And there is just no reason not to move forward with this. So thank you. And I want to introduce one of my heroes, which is John, Deal, and Michelle. They are an amazing family, so much courage to share in their deepest grief with you, their beautiful son, Kevin.